right now. But I wanted to talk a little bit, well, I'm actually in uniform and don't look like a hot mess, about what a LTP is and what the S1's involvement in that. So it is a leadership training planning conference, and you do that, an LTP, before you go to NTC, the National Training Center, which I'm sure you guys all know if your unit is gearing up for deployment. So our unit is set to deploy in January of 22 to go to Poland, which will be really, really exciting. Looks like I'm not going to go with them right now, but there's not a replace to S1 for me just yet. So I am still doing a lot of the main functions to get everything ready. And okay, so I've never done an LTP before, and I've never done a deployment before. As you can see, I think my last video was when I was in Bullock or shortly after Bullock. So this is all new to me, and if it was new to me, right, it's new to probably a lot of other people as well. And no one really talks about, outside of Bullock, nobody really talks about what your role in is, like the war fighting planning process as an S1, right? So I got to also cover down for the medical platoon leader, because ours was activated and he was transferred to another company, and we were supposed to get somebody that we did not get. So we have that vacancy, and they needed somebody to cover down. So I did. Which was really cool, and also a little nerve-wracking because I had no idea what I was doing. But I got to see a lot more than I probably would have normally. So basically, as an S1, you work as a sustainment piece with the S4, and the S4 definitely has a lot more of a role than you do as an S1, because really our job starts and begins, and we're more of the pre-planning process, getting everybody administratively ready to go, and ready to gear up for the deployment. And then, it starts the day, when people start moving to their location, right? Then we're trying to track all of the people and making sure that we have accountability. So our piece isn't very big in the planning of war fighting and analyzing the enemy. And our biggest piece would be throughout that process is what do we think, our intel guy likes to use Russia a lot. What do we think Russia is going to do to make their soldiers administratively ready to make, how are they going to trap their people? And we're supposed to try to analyze and give him that information on what we think, their S1 might do. So of course, I have no idea, and I wasn't very helpful on that front, but he did give me some resources and books to read to start to understand Russia, because we're going to be in Poland, so it's pretty close to Russia. That's something that we need to understand. So as far as our role, right? So he wanted that from me. The S2 wanted me to consider analyzing, what's going to happen. Oh man, something's happening on the road right now. They're stopping traffic. How fun. I'm on my way to Los Alamitos for an 8-day camp interview, which will be really exciting if I get. But apparently now I'm stopped, so that's fun.
Hazard ahead on I-5N in 1.5 miles.
Yep, there's a hazard ahead. Somebody probably got in an accident. Okay, hopefully this does not make me late for my interview. Anyway, so, yes, where was I? Okay, so trying to analyze the enemy in a human resources capacity. Okay, so that's something the S2 wanted as he's doing his intel, analyzing the enemy and what they're going to do and what
Hazard ahead on I-5N in 1.4 miles. You're still on the fastest route.
what vehicles, weapons that they have, all that kinds of stuff. That is what the S2 is doing during that point. So, and of course we get the first, we get the division order, right? And at that point, and I don't know if this is how it's supposed to go, But we were already taking the division op order, analyzing. We got it at the same time, right? The brigade did, and we are analyzing what our part is going to be in that and what our options in that division op order. Now this is 2 levels above, so at that point we don't even know what the brigade's getting. They're also doing the same process that we were doing, and so it felt a little counterintuitive because I'm also trying to, at that point, make my op order section Annex F Appendix 2 and what needs to be put in that, but I don't even have the brigade's op order yet. So it was really interesting that we're trying to do all this planning while the brigade is doing the planning and all this, and we didn't wait for brigade and then get it. So I don't know if that's how it always goes, but it was interesting that that's the way we did it. And I feel like it would have been easier if we would have waited for brigade stuff and then done our battalion stuff, because we'd have a little bit more information about, what our section is, and that what our decisive and shaping operation is. And honestly, I'm not very good at all the infantry war game terms. I know I learned it in OCS once upon a time. I love it. Like the intel guys are always just, and the operations guys, they're always just laughing at me because I'm like, yeah, you're like fighting, right? I'm over here making sure that we have, you by name, and we're making sure you're alive. That's what I care about. So that was fun. All right, other pieces. Okay, so we had the division op order. My part in this was the BC really wanted me to focus on getting my op order for NTC put together, and our administrative stuff that we needed, basically so that we'd be set to go, right? So one, I wanted to make sure we had hard copies, we had our binder set up to have our op order binder, like an SOP binder where we had the tax op, our planning SOP, and then our internal S1 SOP that I wanted them to start creating. So we were working on all of that stuff, printing things off, getting it ready, getting products from S1net, from previous battalions who've gone to NTC. We got a bunch of their products, and then also, starting to get brigade products, just so we had them available. We kind of knew what was going to be expected at NTC, and that we had products available to us. So one of the big things that was interesting is that the VC said to us, you're not going to have your computers, and we're like, so how are we going to do our job? We use computers for everything. We're S1. And then we talked to somebody else, and they're like, no, you actually are going to have your computers. You're not going to have NIPR access in where we're going to be in the CTCP. Not every NTC is the same versus active duty and National Guard. That's all going to be different. So her experience was very different from ours, because she was actually a National Guard soldier who went to NTC with active duty, and their process was a little bit different. But for us, as we're going to have a CTCP, a TOC, and a TAC. And the CTCP is going to hold the S1 and the S4, which it always does when we're in the field, but it's also going to have the S6 in it as well, and part of hotel company. It's going to be a pretty large area, our CTCP, with probably a good 90 soldiers. And then the HHC first sergeant and commander are in charge of the CTCP, which is awesome, because they get to do all that planning and I don't have to worry about it. So there was, the first sergeant was doing the planning on trying to figure out how we're going to do the CTCP, how are we going to do our CTCP tent versus the whole layout of the CTCP. And the BAS is also at the CTCP, and so you also have to have an area for the dead, right, for them to go, and that's like something you have to look at versus like sleeping locations and vehicles coming in and out. So oh gosh, all right, I hate it when cars drive like crazy. So first sergeant's doing that, we were doing our products, and then the BXO wanted me to do a slide, like a running estimate slide on what the human resources part is. And the BC didn't really want that, but the BXO did, so I did that, and it was a good experience to figure out like what our facts are administratively. Our part is also looking at legal, right? So we have a paralegal who I had combed through the tab C and the Appendix F or Annex F and look through, it was a Annex F, Appendix 2, Tab C, and see what, what is...
In 10 miles, take exit 94A to merge onto I-405 north toward Long Beach.
What authority does the battalion commander have in authorizing force and weapons? Where is it at the brigade level, the division level? That's the kind of stuff that the BC wanted to know, that we were kind of analyzing and getting that information out of the op order. So that was our piece a little bit. What is, how quickly, our biggest part as S1 and the LTP that I am still a little fuzzy on the process, because there's a calculator and you really got to spend time from the beginning kind of figuring that out, and communicating with the S1 and the S3 is the casualty calculator, and or they also call it the force something calculator. Okay, so your part is to get with this to figure out what kind of weapons, military, is it infantry, what kind of tanks they have, strikers, what do they have, and you put this into the calculator, and then you go to the S3 and say, okay, what do we have, and what's our strength? We have engineers attached to us, we have fires attached to us, so what do they have? And then we put in like how many of each we have, and then that's kind of where we get the force ratio, and say, okay, if you go with, here's the probability for this phase, if you go with this approach, here's your estimated casualties. And then the BC takes that information, he's like, is it worth, doing this course of action if we're going to lose, 20 soldiers or 50 soldiers, right? So that's, it helps the BC make the best decision for his battalion based off of the amount of people that he'll lose, how quickly we can get replacements. And so that's like the S1's biggest piece in this, which I didn't get to that very well. So, but just understanding that piece was really good, because I didn't know what my part in all of the LTP and what I was expected to do. So this was super helpful to at least have that understanding, which I didn't figure out until like the LTP was almost over. So it's great, because as the S1, right, you have you and your NCOIC, but if neither of you have deployed, you really don't know what's going on. And then on top of that, right, like the S2 has an S2, and they have an S2 assistant, and then the S3 has 2 assistants and the S3 and all of these, a whole team of sergeants. So it was a little unfair to be like, I don't know, I've never done this before, and nobody is really there to know how to teach me how to do my job, other than the information the BXO and the BC are giving you, which they don't always have time to explain to you how to do your piece of it. So that was a little bit of a struggle. Okay, so we did that, and really you're going to work with the S4, because slides are everything in the Army. With the S4 to do the slides, and really it's going to be you just feeding just a little bit of information about personnel, and having them add to their sustainment slides, because pretty much people pretty much care more about how are we getting our supplies, how many days supplies do we have to have on hand, where are the resupply points, the LRPs. They want to know that. They don't really care about me, other than the fact that well, yeah, they didn't really care about this one. Go figure. They're infantry guys. Okay, so as I digress, let me talk a little bit about the platoon leader, medical platoon leader. So this was very different. Which is really funny, because I wanted to be a medical services officer originally, just because I have a history. My bachelor's is in healthcare management, and with a minor in human resources management, and I was a medical assistant for years before I finished my bachelor's. So really I was like, oh, I want to be in the health field, I want to do this. What's funny about that is it's very different from the civilian world to the military world, right? And you don't realize that as you're an 09-seer trying to figure out how to do your job and which jobs you want to do and what's going to make sense for you. So I'm so relieved that I got put into a human resources AG position, just because it's way more my forte. I like being able to sit in a tent and work on the computer on Excel and making sure we have all the people. Like, that's the stuff that I enjoy. It's just more organizational tracking, and dealing with personnel, right? I like that piece. Versus a medical platoon leader is, running around making sure that they have a forward aid station, a BAS, where their medics are going to be, they have enough supplies. They have a lot more piece in the actual fight, where I don't have that piece. So that was a very eye-opening, because I never really knew what our medical platoon leader did. I'm like, dude, like, what is it that you do all day? I don't even know. And so now I know, right? I had to make slides for the medical platoon leader, because there wasn't one. And you also need to plan where the BAS is going to be, where the forward aid station, where your casualty collection points are going to be. And that's really what the first surgeons care about, is like, where are we going to transfer our sick, wounded, KIA? How are we going to get them to you? And how are you going to get replacements to me, right? That's all they really care about. And so that's kind of the big job of the medical platoon leader. So the issue that I had was like, how am I, as the medical platoon leader, supposed to know where to put the BAS and the forward aid station? I have no idea. Who's supposed to help me figure this out? Because I know they're not just going to leave this up to me, right? No, they're not actually going to do that. So we went through the LTP. Our CSM is okay. But he was working on some other stuff. So I asked the BXO, sir, how am I supposed to know how to, where to put the forward aid station and where to put all this stuff? And he goes, well, really, you're supposed to work with the CSM and the first sergeants to find the best place for your FAS, right, forward aid station, and your BAS, and the casualty collection points, which you can use LRPs, but they also don't want to over congest those areas. So that's where you really have to work with the CSM and the first sergeants, which was great information, because I was just like, I don't know, let's put them here, and here's where, and the BC was like, that doesn't make sense. Why would we do that? I'm like, I don't know, because it's a place that on the map. So it was really good to figure out that piece of it, and realize how blessed I am with the fact that I got put into the position I did, and I am aging all the way, right? I'm really excited that I got the position that I got. So, okay, my tidbit. So that's a little bit about what an S1 is going to be doing. Also, now I'm going back to S1 piece. So all of the people...
In 2 miles, take exit 94A to merge onto I-405 north toward Long Beach.
Let me get over while I still talk. Oh, there's a... Let me get out of the way. Ooh, there's an accident. I-405. Okay. Alright, so I was talking about... Ooh, there's pieces of a car. Okay. I was talking about, everybody talks about replacement packets. They are not replacement packets. It literally took us a few days to figure out, like, okay, the S3's like, oh, you got to focus on your replacement packets. BC, oh, you got to get your replacement packets. I'm like, what is a replacement packet? It's not a replacement packet, guys. It is a casualty packet. So, just FYI, if anybody says replacement packet, that's not a thing. It's a casualty packet. So that was really good to figure out, because both my NCOAC and I were like, what are they talking about? And that is it. So, okay, have your casualty, and really that's going to be like the admin piece that you're going to be doing ahead of time, is having the DD93 SGLV printed out and ready to go, but making sure that we have the accurate data before NTC. So like, we have an admin drill coming up in March. And
use the right 3 lanes to take exit 94A to merge onto I-405 north toward Long Beach.
Their administrative stuff done, right, and getting all of that updated. So, but really that takes a lot of the S1 doing that pre-planning to say, hey, let's put this in a frag board, or let's make sure this is in the op board. This is what the companies need to do during their home station drill.
Take the exit.
That's what we would do, is have them do that in the home station drill, and then finish.
For 24 miles, continue straight.
What I'm recommending to my staff is that we have a paper packet, because you actually have to hand the paper packet, like the casualty has to take it with them. But not only just having a paper packet, but having it electronically as well, so we can print off more if the same person dies a couple times. So that was one of the big things, is like just us figuring out what we need, what needs to be in the packet, getting stuff printed ahead of time, getting our boards ready to go for what the CTCP needs to have, what our big boards are going to look like, and figuring that piece out. So really, like, your job as the S1 during an LTP is getting all of your administrative stuff set and ready to go. So we have a Super Muta coming up in April to May for 8 days, and we will get to practice if all of our planning worked out to be an effective CTCP. And if it didn't, I'm sorry, I keep itching my nose like that. I'm out of floating, so my allergies are acting up. So like, we're going to be able to see if our Super Muta, like at our Super Muta, if all of our planning was good or what else we need to still get. So, but really we're spending the time right now making sure all of our stuff is packed and ready to go. We have all of our printed copies. Did we get everything that we ordered? And if not, maybe we need to just manually print stuff. And so that's the type of stuff that we're going to be working on. Also, awards, right? I don't know how your BC is. My BC is huge on awards. So make sure you have a plan for awards. Typically, there's going to be a way to get the award signed at NTC with your leadership there. We're attached to a different brigade because we're deploying than we normally are. So we're really special right now. We actually are attached to 3 brigades because we are normally attached to 100 Troop Command, 81st IBCT, and that's just because of the weird place we are in California, and we fall under like 2 brigades because we have an administrative brigade and like a tactical brigade. Because of the deployment, we're actually on 3 brigades now. So we have 100 Troop Command, 81st, and 45th IBCT, which is like so crazy. As an M-Day S1, trying to figure out what it is that each brigade wants from you. So yeah, that's been an adventure. And so basically, right, when we're doing awards, you want to make sure that you can get that leadership to sign things for ARCOMs, anything above your battalion level, and have that stuff squared away, have your templates ready. Make sure that your first sergeants and commanders know, like, hey guys, get your bullet points on a card and an index card, come to us, we'll type it up for you. We want to make sure we're getting these processed and ready to go. So that's a big piece of it. Awards are so important. Okay, I think that covers everything. I hope this is helpful for people, and forgive my rambling as I'm driving. But I know that, like, people have really responded pretty well to my Bullock videos, because if you're trying to figure out, what to do at Bullock, there's so much unknown in the Army. So that is my piece from a National Guard M-Day S1, what I went through at the LTP and what was expected of me. I'm sure there are other videos for active duty, but some pieces may be helpful for them in this. So thanks for watching, and you have an awesome and blessed day. Wish me luck as I go into my 8-day camp interview, and thankfully traffic is moving now, and see if I get to do that next. If not, I'll go spend some more battalion S1 time somewhere else. All right, bye.